Recording in
Hi
progress.
guys, welcome this afternoon. I'll don't have too much for you this afternoon, but just want to run through a few things. We do have a couple of milestones this weekend. So first Divi 1 game, Xavier O'Toole, actually that might have been last weekend, but Xavier did his first game in Divi 1 on the boundary. No, that's this weekend, but Ben Larson in the goals did his first game on last weekend. So yeah, well done to Xavier and Ben, who are now doing Divi 1 footy. And the only other milestone is Mark Barnett in the field doing his 50th Adelaide Footy League game, on top of the many hundreds of games he's done elsewhere. But it's good to have Barney on board and umpiring with us these days. For those of you that were keen to go to Michael Houston's funeral this Wednesday, May the 4th. It's in Centennial Park at 3:30. So I'll certainly be there. I know others that on this Zoom will be there as well. So just want to make sure you're all aware of that. A few of you put your hand up to be on appointed for the Aboriginal Power Cup. Those appointments will come out with the coaching notes. So we had more people put their hands up than actually required. So there's 4 or 5 emergencies. Ian Gore sent me the link for the Umpires Association Interseason presentation dinner. So that's going to be held on Saturday, October the 8th. So in the coaching notes, you'll have the link to book your ticket. So you want to get in there and get in for that one. And I just want to spend a bit of time this afternoon looking at some dangerous tackles. It seems like we've got an issue this season. We're getting more than a few happen, and it's a bit concerning. So we need to be on our guard, looking out for it. So I'll just see about this. Might take a bit of. Not sure whether I can get this happening. We'll give it a go. Just bear with me. So I want to. If I can't get this working, you're going to get the links in the coaching notes. We've got some links to have a look at the dangerous tackles that happened on the weekend. So there was one in the Broadview game, Broadview and Athelston. So yeah, all right, here we go. All right, beauty. So Greg, are you online? Greg Von Einem or Chris Rash?
Yeah, I'm here, Cole.
Rashy, beautiful. So I'll play the vision and maybe you guys, or if you could just let us know what happened next. But this was a pretty nasty, dangerous tackle that occurred. Video doesn't quite capture it, but there's enough of it to see. So, Rashi, you want to just
it's number one
that got how that unfolded?
Well, I was number 2, so Greg was number 1. I had probably a better angle than Greg because there were players around the footy. From my angle, I just saw the guy from Broadview grab number 1 from Athelston. He literally slammed him straight into the ground. The guy's head hit the ground. He was knocked out straight away. No question, he was knocked out. I had a perfect view of it. To me, I didn't think anything other than a red card for that one. I was straight in. Vonnie had gone in. There was a bit of hoo-ha going on, and Vonnie had gone in and pulled a card out, but I had my red card out, and good genuine change of pace. I got in there and held my red card up, and yeah, we sent him off.
Yep. So the instruction is, because dangerous tackles are so difficult to deal with, that first instinct is, if you feel it's a serious one, just to pull out your yellow, because when we were going hard on it a couple of years ago, we were getting a lot of unnecessary red cards. However, we have said if you are 100% certain it's a red card, as Rashi was on the weekend, we'll back you in. And obviously, these guys ended up with the right result. So it would have been happy for Greg to pull out the yellow like he did, and we could have asked for an upgrade after the game. But the fact that Rashi had a really good view of it, I was in no doubt that it was a red card. It was actually really well handled on the day. So the Athelston player, not in a good way. I don't think he's going to play for a few weeks. I think, was he taken to hospital in an ambulance, Rashi?
No, he was stretched off, but I guess the deciding factor for me was I saw he was hit with such force into the ground. I saw his head bounce off the ground, and you could see he was unconscious. So, I mean, it was as textbook a slam tackle as I've ever seen. So I think he was taken off. I saw him in the rooms after the game, and he was off in La La Land. So I would say he'll be out for a few weeks.
Yeah. So we don't act on the resulting injury or anything like that. It's just a sign that it was a bad one. The fact, I think the way you described it being slamming into the ground really was a major warning sign that it was a pretty bad tackle.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think he's been offered 4 or 5 weeks. I'm not exactly sure the final offer, but I think Broadview are going to accept. They're not going to question that one. So that's the Broadview one. And well done, Rashi, you did well on that one. Next one is a Div 1 game between Old Iggies and Paynham. Brendan Gore on the line. Spoke to Brendan this morning. I'll just let it play and I'll talk through what happened afterwards. All right, just sort of skipped a bit there. I'll see if I can play it again. So, again, I'm going to put these in the coaching notes. You can have a look at it later on. All right. So the things that Brendan did well here was, one, he paid a free kick. He saw it was a dangerous tackle. He got right in there to control the situation. I guess what would have been better is if Brendan had issued a card. He told John Morrison, who was observing, and told me as well, that he was thinking about a card as he was running in, but in the end he didn't give a card. So my advice to Brendan and my advice to all you guys is, if you are thinking of a card, err on the side of doing the card. Giving a yellow card for a dangerous tackle isn't the end of the world. I mean, if it's totally over the top and you want to withdraw it later on, give me a call and we can talk it through. But generally, we want to make a statement with these dangerous tackles. We want to make it clear that it's not on. And if you give a yellow card, the players off for 10 minutes can be replaced. It's no big deal. But in normal circumstances, we would only upgrade from a yellow to a red. We wouldn't upgrade from just a free kick to a red. What has sort of worked in the favour of the right result in this case was John Morrison was observing the game, and he had a good look at it, and he rang me after the game saying he thought it needed to be looked at. So on John's advice, it was investigated, and the player has been given an offer of 2 weeks, or 2+1, I think it is, which they've accepted. So yeah, at least the tackle was penalised. Better outcome would have been that there was a card given, and yeah, in the end, it was a suspension was given out. So really, in both those situations, the players are slammed into the ground. In that particular instance, there's the Paynham player was quite defenceless because he had his arm pinned, and there was that slinging motion into the ground, which meant his head bounced. He was actually able to get up and keep on playing. A bit surprisingly, he didn't look like he was too badly hurt from it, but it wouldn't be a surprise if there was some sort of delayed concussion. But it wasn't like the Athelston one where he was knocked out and taken off. He actually kept playing. And the next one, Sean Field, are you on the line? Or Jim? Jim there. All right, we'll just play it and I'll explain what happened. So Sean Field was the controlling umpire here. This is St. Paul's versus Jeps Cross. There's a couple of players in the way, so it's not easy to see. But again, you can have a look at it later on. Let me just try and get it again. This one could have potentially been the most serious one. It ended up okay. The player wasn't too hurt, but he was definitely lifted up. It's not going to play for me now. Never mind. He was lifted up, and then his body was slammed into the ground. So the end result was that Sean came in and gave a yellow card, and then contacted me after the game and said it needed to be looked at. When we looked at the video, we realised the penalty was warranted, and so yeah, he's ended up with I think it might have been a 4-game suspension. I guess you can all wait till Kerner's update comes out on Thursday to find out the exact result. But yeah, the fact that Sean did the right thing in giving out a yellow card, he got the player off. He contacted me after the game saying it looked a bad tackle, needed to be looked at, and yeah, the match review panel has given out that suspension today. So yeah, just wanted to highlight the fact that you know, on top of round 1 where we had the Brighton dangerous tackles and a few others along the way, players just aren't getting the message at the moment that they've got a responsibility if they're taking a player to ground to you know, have a responsibility to not hurt them. There will be accidents in footy. It's a contact sport. There'll be times where there will be player hurt and there's no responsibility from the tackler. But in those examples you saw today, there was a slam into the ground, there was a lift, there was definitely not the right tackling action. So we have to err on the side of penalising. And if you want to give a yellow card, no one's going to lose any sleep. And then obviously if you've got any further concerns, give me a call after the game. All right, any questions or comments on those examples or anything else about dangerous tackles?
Yeah, just a footnote on what I personally do, because it is of serious nature and it was quite prevalent last year, how much we were talking about it. But what I do when there's the first one that comes out, or which one is quite close, I just keep reminding everyone, you know, especially on stoppages, watch those tackles, guys, watch those tackles. So it really helps if you consistently correspond with them, just to remind them, and and then, you know, tell. Fair
point, Andre. And really, one of the key things in that is that you're actually penalising the ones early on. It might only be a free kick, but if you can see some sort of action which is a concern and you pay it, it gets the message across. And at the end of the day, the dangerous tackles aren't always done by the players that give us grief at other times. Quite often they're not meaning to hurt the player. It's just they've got a bad technique. So there is a responsibility for the players these days to show a duty of care. I just had a message from Sean who couldn't talk, but he just wanted to give Jim credit for handling the situation as well. So yeah, good teamwork from Sean and Jim to get that one right. And obviously there's a bit of heat in what happened there with the St. Paul's incident. Are there any other questions from anything else that happened on the weekend? Anything else anyone want to raise this afternoon? As I said, today's Zoom's going to be fairly brief. No?
Yeah, Cole, you there? It's Matt.
Yeah,
we just had a bit of a melee incident on the weekend, so I don't know if it's worth just quickly going over that again, what the process is and how many chances you actually give the players to sort it out.
Yeah, sure. Happy to remind you. If you want to refresh, there is that bit on the interpretations video where you can go and have a look at the actual instructions. But really, at the end of the day, If we can get the game moving, so if there's a bit of a melee, let's get the ball up, give the free kick, get the game moving. And if they continue to fight, then you're basically letting the league know that the clubs need to be fined. So the melee rule's instigated. If you can't get the game going, say there's an injured player or it's the end of the quarter, that's where you run in, use your communication skills and blow the whistle 3 times. And if they continue to fight, then the fines go to the clubs. Now, it's often at the end of a quarter where it happens. And, it's happened to me a few times. And I always find if you're going in there and blowing your whistle 3 times and telling them, stop fighting or there'll be fines, if you're actually saying it's going to cost you money, they get the message. Any questions on any of that? All good, Matt?
Yeah, mate, all good. Yeah, pretty much what we did. So just wanted to make.
No, all good. We've got some new umpires on the line, so it doesn't hurt to remind them. Anyone else? So I see Adrian Truan's on the line. Well done, Adrian, for handling an umpire abuse situation professionally, and ended up red carding after the player didn't back down and kept going. So tough situation, but from all reports, Adrian handled that one well. Adrian's actually doing his first A-grade game this week, so all the best for that one, mate. Again, thanks for everyone stepping up and doubling up and doing games all over the place. We had Mark down in at O'Sullivan's Beach. Was doing his 2nd or 3rd game ever, and Brian Humble pulled out because he did an injury in the C grade, and Mark ended up doing the B grade and the A grade at Sullivan's Beach. So we didn't have too many options. He did well, and Mark Good's luck looked after him, but appreciate Mark's efforts, Mark Hines's efforts down there. Just actually, that reminds me, when Brian did pull out with an injury after his C grade game, he sent me a text, and I got a bit annoyed with him. I have spoken to him since, but just a reminder that if there's something urgent, if you're running late for a game, or in that case like Brian, and you pull out from a game, don't just text, because you don't know if someone's received the text. And there's been times this year where I've been out umpiring and the B's and C grade games, and I wouldn't have got that text or the A grade and would have been able to do nothing about it. So if there's something that you are needing to contact Pete and me or another umpire about urgently, always ring and make sure they actually get the message. If you can't get hold of me, you've always got Pete. So yeah, don't rely on text, please, for urgent messages. All right. Anything else? Thanks, guys. We'll see you on Wednesday.